Back on Race for the White House, your turn to play with the panel. The panel back with us, and I want to go first to Mary in Michigan, who's apparently no fan of McCain, but raises an interesting point. It goes like this. How does John McCain expect us to make a decision about his ability to become president when his entire campaign is based on bashing Obama? Okay, Pat, no fan of McCain, this voter. Nevertheless, it's the question of, and we saw this back in 2004, if you make a campaign a choice, that's important. It's a contrast. It's a choice. But what about filling in the what are you for part? And is there, in going after Obama, making this a referendum on Obama, does McCain get lost, especially when he is tarred by the status quo, whether it's George Bush or just the direction of the country, rather?
If you make Obama unacceptable to middle America, McCain's going to be president of the United States no matter what kind of campaign he runs. But I do agree with Mary to this extent. McCain should not be doing the attack work. He should have capable surrogates out there doing it, not the candidate himself. Secondarily, when you're in this kind of scrap with bare knuckles, you get your face cut as well as the other fellows. And I think that's happening to McCain. But frankly, if he doesn't take Obama down, he's not going to win this election anyway.
But we saw this, Harold. We saw almost a replica of this between Obama and Hillary Clinton. Now, that may have been different because it was just Democratic primary voters, but you saw how it was trending at the end of the primaries. Is this a winning strategy?
Well, I think there are differences between what happened with Hillary and Barack. But as we are where we are right now, Pat has a point. But I do think the country saw two elections like this with George Bush, the way he went after Al Gore, and certainly the way he went after John Kerry. I think if you poll the country, and we have 80% of the country says George Bush's leadership is bad, we don't want it. John McCain is heading down that path. Now, if he wants to travel that path without laying out a positive, a clear set of goals for the country, he will lose. Pat is right in this regard, though. Barack is viewed as a riskier choice. So McCain's got to figure out how he creates a balance. If I'm Barack Obama, I continue taking my message right to people, right to people, right to people. And the more he does that and the more he talks about change, the more likely it is he'll be taking the oath of office come January of next year.
But, Rachel, if you're inside the war room of Obama, you've got plenty of money to spend. You can go positive on biographical ads, and you can also take on anything that McCain throws your way and respond to it as he's done. Do you want to get involved in that? Do you have to go toe-to-toe? And does the intention, the desire to define yourself get lost if you're spending so much time doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I sympathize with the sort of competing demands on the Obama campaign. On the one hand, I think they do have to respond to these sort of attacks from McCain. I think that the John Kerry swift voting lesson of 2004 has been drilled into Democrats, and they know that they have to respond and respond quickly. On the other hand, the Obama campaign is not doing a good job trying to make this election a referendum on the George Bush years, which is their surefire plan for victory. Obama today said we can't afford more John McCain, George Bush economics, but it sort of drifted into the ether because that's not the overall narrative of the campaign. They haven't been successful making that the big picture question of what people vote on.
Smirk, we were going to talk about this earlier. Let's put up the map of where McCain is spending his money on campaign ads, and it says something that Pat just brought up. Look at those states. These are key battlegrounds, including the industrial Midwest, upper Midwest, also the Rocky Mountain West. It shows you that McCain is trying to undermine Obama's credibility and narrow the scope of the election. So whether he's appealing to people who just think he's risky, there may be racism there motivating some voters, or maybe people who just say, I don't know if I can accept this guy, there's a point to narrow the field.
We've prognosticated here in the past as to what would the real battleground states consist of. And by way of example, David, the South. We've talked extensively about the South. When you look at that map, you see, for example, that John McCain hasn't spent a dime in Florida on television, frankly, nor in the remainder of the South, for that matter, while Barack Obama has. So, does that mean that John McCain is secure in how he stands in those particular states? Does it mean that Obama is not going to mount the kind of challenge we expected there?